I can manage my finances, but can I align hair wash day with the day I record videos? No. Good afternoon all, I hope you're well. It's Friday today, so I'm feeling in a good mood. I had such great feedback from my last video all about setting day rates. I thought I would start a whole series exploring finance, being an artist, being a freelancer, being a small business, all those sort of things together. I have been on a salary all my life. I was 32 years old when I moved over from having a salary to kind of being a freelancer. It is definitely a transition and can be a little bit intimidating, but all you need to do is find the right setup that works for you. First of all, it is disclaimer time. I am not an accountant, I am not a financial advisor. Don't listen to some random girl on the internet about important things about your finances. If you need financial advice, please go and seek a professional. I do find it super interesting to hear how other people manage their finances. I often ask my friends, like, how do you do this, or how do you do that, or how do you split things with your partner? Because I think it's really helpful to kind of be like, oh, that's interesting, or that works well, or that sounds insane, I'll stay away from that thing. So let's talk about money, shall we? So one of the first things I did when I started freelancing or becoming an artist or running a business was I did exactly that. I set up a business. So even though you see me as just like Hannah Benny Hood Studio, I'm actually divided into two. So I have a limited liability company that is called Hannah Benny Hood Limited, and Hannah Benny Hood Limited actually employs Hannah Benny Hood, the artist, me. So there are two separate entities underneath what you just see as Hannah Benny Hood Studio. You might not have this set up if you're a sole trader. There are multiple reasons why I decided to specifically set up a business, but I wanted to completely separate my business from me as a person. Because I create public artwork, it means that I have quite a large public liability, which basically means, God forbid, I'm touching all the wood, something goes wrong and someone tries to sue me. Basically, they can sue my business. They can't sue Hannah Benny Hood, the person. So my business is liable for everything that I do, and me and my personal assets, for example, my home, is protected. And so for me, it was really important to separate those two things. For you, it might not be that important. You know, if you're a graphic designer or something, you might not have that same kind of risk level to the work that you do. Either way, I would highly recommend going and get financial advice when you're sort of setting yourself up at the beginning to understand what the best way is to organise your business and your finances. But even if you are a sole trader, I would highly recommend at the very least getting a business bank account. So your bank account for your business and your personal bank account are two separate things. Especially for us artists, creatives, we're very visual people, and for me, I cannot see all the money in one pot, all messy. I need to organise everything. So this is how I do it. Okay, look, this is all going to get very complicated, so I'm going to draw a diagram just to help us understand. I have Hannah Benny Hood Limited, the company, who employs Hannah Benny Hood, the artist. And this really helps me with dividing up my finances. So before I became a full-time artist, I saved up a financial cushion for myself, which is in my business account. If you want to hear a little bit more about how I transitioned my career, I have a whole video on it, link is in description. It took me over 2 years to build up this cushion within my business before I took the leap to being full-time artist. So once I got full-time, then I started building my business account further. So the first thing that I did was calculate how much Hannah Benny Hood, the artist, needs to survive a month. And from that, I calculated a salary for myself. Now, I am frugal AF. honestly, I really don't give myself much more than bills and a tiny amount of pocket money, but I pay myself that every single month. So Hannah the artist does actually have a monthly salary regardless of what happens in Hannah Bennyhood the business. But the sole reason why I do this is because the problem with being a freelancer is that you don't know what your annual salary is until you get to the end of the year. Like, I can't tell you what I'm gonna earn this year. I don't know. Like, I can tell you what I earned last year, and I can hope I do better this year, but it's so up in the air that I don't make those final decisions to the end of the financial year. So every single month I pay myself a small salary, but my business account basically gets chunks of money now and again. So it might be like £15,000 one month and then nothing for 3 months. My business account really floats up and down. So regardless of how volatile my business account, Hannah Bennyhood the artist always gets paid the same amount. Now, of course, I want to treat myself now and again, or what if I want to go on holiday or buy something? So what I basically do is when I get one of these invoices come through, like a chunk of money, I basically give myself a little bonus on top of my monthly salary. Well done, Hannah the artist. Here you go, buy yourself something pretty. But I don't get that monthly, I only get that when I get a big chunk of money. That money usually goes into my savings, which I then use to buy myself nice things when I want them. So Hannah the artist also organises her money. I have a Monzo account which allows you to set up different pots. So I have my day-to-day account, which I can just use on my debit card, but separate to that I have a savings pot, which is like an ISA, and then separate to that I have a pot specifically for tax. So again, I split my savings and my tax, so there is no misunderstanding of what I am and am not allowed to spend. So whenever I give myself like one of those Brucey bonuses, I make sure before it goes into my savings pot that I put a bit of it into my tax pot. So over the months, my business account will fluctuate. And you can fly quite low in your business account, but what I count as low is when I get close to that sort of cushion line. For me, dipping into that is like going into my overdraft. I see that as zero money. So if I start getting quite low, I need to start thinking about, are there people I can invoice? Are there invoices I need to chase? How can I make more money? For me, that money is break in case of emergency money. I don't want to touch it. What if something happens and, I don't know, like I have to look after a loved one and I can't work for 6 months? Or if something happens to me, what if I break my hand and I can't draw for 6 months? You know, for me, that is what that pot of money is for. It's not for like day-to-day use. If I dip down into that emergency fund, that's when I start calling around and thinking, I need to get some architecture work. Pride comes before a fall. Like when it gets to that point for me, I'm like, okay, I need to make money and I don't really care how I do it. Like if I need to do some architecture gigs, I'll do some architecture gigs, whatever. Like I need to get back over that hump. But what tends to happen is that actually over the year, slowly you actually accumulate more money in your business account. When I get kind of close to the end of the tax year, this is kind of when I can sort of step back and be like, oh, okay, this is how much I've earned this year. And I can decide what I do with that additional money if there's anything above my cushion in my business account. All that money that you have made is sitting in your business account. You are going to be charged with corporation tax. I am all about paying my taxes, but we do want to be strategic about how we pay our tax and we don't want to just like flitter money away. So to be tax efficient, there are kind of 2 ways you can actually avoid tax. So number 1 is that you basically reinvest into your business. So like I keep a little list of things that I would love to buy for my business, and I can make those decisions at the end of the year. For example, like, do I want a new desk, or do I want a new camera, or do I want a new laptop? Like, this is a great time to like make those investments because they essentially become business expenses and you can't get taxed on them. And option number 2 of how you cannot get taxed in the UK anyway, you're not gonna like it. I know you're gonna not like it. Like, if I was 25-year-old me watching this, I would roll my eyes so hard right now. But here you go. This is the other way you can avoid tax. You put it in your pension. I know, it's so dull, I get it. But guys, we are millennials. What is our exit strategy out of this rat race? If you are working for yourself, do you want to work forever till the day you die? I don't. My boomer parents play the piano, do a lot of gardening and go to John Lewis. And honestly, that is the life I want for myself. They have got those banging pensions. So if you are a millennial and you work for yourself, you need a plan. If you work for public sector or you have a job that regularly pays into a pension, like, happy days. My husband is a doctor and his pension is going to be like, but like, you know, what if he leaves me? I don't want to be some poor church mouse because I was busy being like YOLO. Even if your other half has a good pension, it is so important for you to be financially independent. You do not know what life is going to serve you in the future. Get your shit together. And I've heard people be like, well, you can't take it with you when you're gone. Bitch, you're 35 years old. Where do you think you're going? So what I did last year when I got to the end of the year is I bought myself a couple of bits for the business, and then everything else I split it into 2. I put one half into my savings, into my ISA account, and the other half I put away into my pension. I actually sent my dad a WhatsApp when I was doing it. I don't think he's ever been more proud of me. And then the year resets and we start again. So that is how I organise my finances. I do get a bit nervous, if I'm honest with you. Like, when I'm flying low in that business count, I'm just like, ooh, ooh, ooh. For me, the most important thing is just to continue to educate myself. I read a lot about business and finance, and I watch other YouTube channels like The Financial Diet to constantly understand how I can make my money work better for me. I had someone say on my last video that it was a little bit overwhelming, and I know it does sound it when I just blur all this information at you, but if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and leave me a comment if there are any like financial tips that we think we could share. If you have any questions for me, just drop them in the comments. I'll try and answer. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I shall see you next week.